Hello there, I am Football Philosopher, and welcome to the first edition of Hot Takes. Today, I will be reacting to some polarizing opinions about the beautiful game on Twitter, so let's just dive right in. This first tweet comes from Bonjour Odell. He says, Messi's move to PSG has finally exposed two hidden truths to the world. He's a system player who thrives when a system is purposely built for him. Number 2, Ronaldo did extraordinary by moving between clubs in different countries and dominating from the get-go. Now this is kind of like two takes in one, so I'll just address these points one at a time. I think it would be too simplistic to label Messi as just a system player because one, it's disrespectful and dumb to be that reductive, and not every coach he had was a Guardiola clone at Barcelona, so I think that is unfair. What I will say though is that there is a nugget of truth in this first half of the take, and I also think it ties into the second part of this too. Messi has struggled to reach anything close to his prime level for Barcelona when he's played for PSG and even for Argentina at times. There have only been about 3 different times in his Argentina career where he's played up to the expectation of his playing form for Barcelona, which are the 2014 World Cup, the 2018 World Cup qualifying, and the 2021 Copa America. Basically, he has struggled to reach the same individual levels that he plays for Barcelona with any other team, even if he has competent teammates. PSG, he has great teammates, some of the most talented teammates he's ever had, and he had very good Argentina teams during one of Brazil's worst periods in their history, really. The only other period in Brazil's history that is comparable in terms of lack of success is between the 1970 World Cup success and the 1994 World Cup success in that 24-year period. That's the only comparable time in Brazil's history where they've been this weak compared to, dominating world football. So Messi's also benefited from that and has some very good Argentina teams, but only one Copa America to show for it. While I don't believe this is reason enough to discount all of Messi's achievements as if, they don't matter, but it is an important bit of context when we talk about his career and his legacy. It can be true that Messi does not reach the same astronomical heights with other teams as he does with Barcelona, while also being true that probably no one else could have done what he did in the same position. Keeping these struggles in mind, I don't think the second half of the take is so much a hot take, so much as a follow-up statement to help validate the original hot take. It's not controversial to say that Ronaldo playing elite in different leagues is extraordinary, although it isn't true that he's dominated from the get-go since it took several years for him to become a world-class player at Man United, and he wasn't dominating in the Portuguese league for Sporting either, because he was just a kid after all, but the point stands that he wasn't dominating from the get-go at 2 of his earlier destinations, and even at his recent time at Man United, he's been one of their best players this season, but dominating, I wouldn't really say that, no. And I'm a Manchester United fan, so I have all the incentive in the world to say otherwise, but, I'm going to be honest about it. Moving on to our next take from Twitter, we have Aero RM. It says, El mejor portero del planeta, que penalti le paró a Leo Messi en la ida, enorme como mejora año tras año. For those of you that can't read Spanish, this tweet basically says the best goalkeeper on the planet, what a penalty save in the first game, amazing how he gets better every year. End quote. Also, this is in reference to Thibaut Courtois and his penalty save against Messi in the first leg of their Champions League knockout round against PSG. I picked this one out because this came off as a hot take at first, when I first saw it, but when you really think about it, it's not that crazy to say. I would definitely take Courtois over a lot of goalkeepers. I would take him over Alisson, Ederson, Donnarumma, Hugo Lloris, Jan Oblak, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, De Gea, Edouard Mendy, This is one of the few times that he's comfortably the best goalkeeper in the world, but the last few years he's often been overlooked ahead of guys that were trending, like Mendy last year because he won the Champions League and Africa Cup of Nations. Donnarumma, there's a lot of talk about Donnarumma potentially being the best goalkeeper just because he won the Euros with Italy, and he had an impressive performance in that tournament, but I thought, as someone who thinks Donnarumma has been underrated for quite some time, it seemed that people realized that he was underrated and then tried to overcompensate by then overrating him, which isn't the appropriate response, but basically I agree with this take. Thibaut Courtois is probably the best goalkeeper in the world right now. Moving on to the next take, we have Michelangelo. There's no clear cut who is the best in the world in today's football, and I love it. Duopoly, it's over. Now, I mostly agree with this take, but the reason why I think it's a hot take is because I think a lot of fans of players will disagree with this and adamantly argue otherwise. Also, it's not the popular thing to say because people want definitive answers when they are asking a question like this. They don't want, to have the discussion, oh, who's the best player in the world? Oh, well, there's a lot of good players and, can't really pick one. No one wants to hear that. Everyone wants to argue, oh, I think this player is the best. Oh, I think this player is the best. If I had to pick someone myself, I would probably choose Kylian Mbappe. But I wouldn't find it odd at all, and I wouldn't really argue too much against someone that said Robert Lewandowski, Karim Benzema, or Mohamed Salah either. The Messi-Ronaldo duopoly truly is over, and it hasn't really been replaced yet by any kind of similar rivalry. I do think that this lack of clarity is good for the game in a way, because it forces fans to appreciate different players with different attributes, with different styles of play. Instead of just, oh, this player is the best, or these two players are the best, there are several players who are among the best, and it forces fans to really pay attention to different players who play differently and not just praise one style of play or one type of player. Moving on to the next one, we have Kylian Mbappe. He says, Sancho is the best talent England have right now from a neutral perspective. Trent and Foden come after. Now, I do not agree with this one. This is a spicy one. While I am a Manchester United fan, I am going to have to disagree with this one. Sancho is a great dribbler and a great passer as well, as he has proven at Dortmund and in recent flashes at United. However, I think that both Trent and Foden are more talented and have more upside. Foden has more potential as a prospect due to his strength on the ball when he's dribbling, which allows him to keep driving runs alive without losing the ball or going down from contact when he's fouled. Also, he's a much better shot, particularly from distance. They play similar-ish positions, but Foden has more potential and is adept at playing on either side, whereas Jadon really thrives when playing off the left. Trent is a very different player, but I still think is more talented due to his amazing passing ability and attacking prowess from a defensive position. For one, he has the Premier League record for most assists by a defender in a season, despite his young age. He's also a fantastic set-piece taker, both for assisting and scoring goals. His defensive lapses are a little exaggerated because even though he's not the best 1v1 defender in the world, and sometimes gets caught out of position, that often happens because of two factors within Klopp's system. For one, he's asked to get high up the field to keep the width, so that Mohamed Salah can get into the middle and get into goal-scoring positions. Speaking of Salah, his attacking responsibilities often mean that he can take it easier on the defensive side of the ball, which leaves no one to cover for Trent when he gets upfield. And that means he'll get caught on the break. Oftentimes when they're defending, he won't have Salah helping him, and the other team will get overloads, and Trent will be outnumbered in that position, and they'll have a 2v1 or 3v2, and someone from the midfield has to come in and cover for Salah whenever Trent needs help or Trent does get further upfield. Also, I'm one that believes that Trent Alexander-Arnold, if he transitioned into playing central midfield, he could become one of the best players at that position. such as his passing ability. For this last one, I'm going to go with a little bit of a fun one. For those of you that don't know, that's Michael Ballack with the 2006 World Cup ball. And I agree with this one, and I don't think it's remotely close. That's my hot take, honestly, more so than this one. I don't think it's remotely close that this is by far the best World Cup ball. The honorable mention, I would say, is the Tango ball from the 1982 World Cup in Spain. It's pretty underappreciated, very iconic. The Brazuca ball from the 2014 World Cup in Brazil is really dynamic and it's got interesting designs on it, very colorful. And the Russia 2018 ball is a nice compromise of modern designs and has a cool simplicity about it too. But the 2006 ball from the World Cup in Germany is the best. It's the greatest of them all. It's very recognizable with a very unique design that doesn't need vibrant colors to make it stand out. It's a nice aesthetic supported by great performance on the field. No players really complained about it. It had great consistency. Players were still able to take great long shots with it and have it travel through the air without it being too erratic when it's in the air. One of the great long-range goals in World Cup history was the goal scored by Torsten Frings in 2006 with this ball. So it's not like it made it impossible to shoot long shots, but yeah, either way, this ball was really good. A good ball is kind of like a good ref. If people don't notice them much, then they're probably doing a very good job. Also, you're disqualified from the discussion if you try to make the case for the abomination that is the Jabulani from 2010. Less said about that one, the better, because that thing was terrible. Absolutely awful. Horrendous. If you bring up that ball, I'm going to assume you're trolling, because that ball was trash. Anyways, thanks for tuning into this edition of Hot Takes with Football Philosopher. If you like the content, please engage with it by liking, sharing, commenting. Please subscribe to the channel and follow my Twitter. Until then, Joga Bonito.